I have no further questions. Mr. Spears? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Miss Stewart, good afternoon. How are you doing, sir? I'm good. Thank you for coming. Let me also say I'm extremely sorry about the loss of your brother. My two brothers. Your two brothers. I just want to ask you a few questions if that's okay. That's fine. If you need to take a break, just let the judge know. There was a specific incident you spoke of where your brother Durney got shot, but he wasn't killed, and you say he thought Telly had done it, but you knew that was wrong because Telly was still sitting on his aunt's porch, correct? Correct. Now, one of the things you said that was of interest to me was that Bo and your brother Durney were, I think you say, mean mugging. They were mean mugging. So you knew at that point some shooting was likely to start, correct? Yes. You knew that because your brother Durney was known to carry a gun, correct? He carried guns, but he wasn't known to shoot. He did carry guns, but he carried it for his protection, just like Boo had his gun, and just like P-Dub had his, and Telly had his. But you knew, because you knew your brother well, that on a daily basis he in fact carried guns, correct? Yes. Now, you also spoke earlier about life living on Josephine. I think the address is 2011 Josephine. Yes, it is. You said that in growing up, you all were pretty much on your own and you all sold drugs out of that house. We did. And that would include your brother Durney. He was a drug dealer also. Yes, he was. You indicated that on a regular basis, the police would kick in the door at 2011 Josephine. They did. Did any of you all ever get arrested when they kicked in the door? Yes, we did, every time. Did Durney ever get arrested? Probably like once or twice. Not too many times, but he probably get arrested probably once or twice out of 2011. He had his share of arrests too. He was also convicted for dealing drugs, correct? Not that I know of. He was never convicted. He never was convicted of dealing drugs. Not that I know of. I think as a juvenile, he went and did like 6 months in juvenile, but as an adult, I don't know. He was convicted as an adult as well for dealing drugs, correct? Your Honor, he asked and she answered. She does not know. I don't remember. Sustain. But if I were to tell the jurors that your brother was a known... Objection, Your Honor. You can tell the jurors anything you want if you feel like it in closing argument, but you're not going to tell the jurors anything through this witness unless you can impeach the believability of this witness. I'm not on a conviction, Your Honor. The objection is sustained. I'll move on, Your Honor. Let's talk about your brother's reputation for violence. You said he carried a gun, but he didn't use it. He never used no guns. But you spoke of an instance where apparently there was a retaliation with your brother involved in the killing of P-Dub. Do you remember that? Yes. Your brother told you about that incident, correct? Yes, both of them. P-Dub and Darnell told me about that incident. Your brother was involved in that killing, correct? By getting P-Dub involved in it. That's what his involvement was, by getting somebody else involved in it. Was P-Dub the person who was killed or the person doing the killing? It was the person doing the... P-Dub was the person killed. Okay. He was killed because your brother later learned from you that he was the person who had shot your brother earlier? He later learned it on his own. We just pulled up on him on Josephine and saw him on a porch. I never knew who these guys were. When Kentrell showed me him, that was my first time seeing him. I couldn't tell you about P-Dub until I saw him in 2006 on 2011 porch. Right. One of the things you said, and I don't want to twist anything that you said, ma'am, but one of the things you said is after Katrina. Yes, you see the gentleman. You don't even know his name at the time, but you see him sitting on your old porch. Yes. You recognize him to be the guy who was given the gun or who the guy involved in shooting your brother Durney? That's not correct. They had to tell me that was him. Cantrell said, that's the guy who shot your brother. So your children's father told you that's the guy who shot Durney? Yes. Okay. And based on that, Durney retaliated and P-Dub was killed. Darvin retaliated and P-Dub was killed. Earlier, you said that it was Darvin and Durney who killed P-Dub. They both went around there together, but my brother never pulled the trigger. According to whom? According to Darvin and Durney. But your brother, it was only one person who pulled the trigger out there that day. But your brother acknowledged that he was present and involved. Yes. You also are aware of the fact that your brother killed Cup, correct? He was out there for that killing too, but he never pulled the trigger. When I say Cup, you know that's George Hankton? That's what I learned after the fact, yes. So, just like he was there for the killing of P-Dub, he was there for the killing of George Hankton, also known as Cup, but he didn't pull out his gun? No, he didn't. That's according to your brother's version of events? That's according to, and the ones who pulled the trigger event, it was Lionel who pulled the trigger, told me too. So he's at the site of all these killings. He's just not shooting? Yes, because these are the same guys that are trying to kill him, sir. Okay, so part of this is your brother's retaliation? Yes. You talked earlier about your personal involvement with regard to buying drugs. What was the most that you said you'd ever scored from Telly or anyone else? Just Telly, $200 worth. You never scored any more than that? No, I didn't have that kind of money. You said you would sell it, unload it, and then you would go re-up. If it was going good, I would do it. But if it wasn't, I would just go to the club with what I had, buy my clothes and go to the club with the little change I made and leave it like that. What kind of quantities was your brother Darnell dealing with? He probably was going like $1,000 worth. So he was a bigger drug dealer than you. Yes. Now, you said you saw Telly give a gun to Bo. Was that your testimony earlier? He reached the gun in a car. Who took the gun? I don't know. Who was in the car besides Bo? P-Dub and Harper. And at the time, did you know Bo? Yes, I knew Bo. But you didn't know who P-Dub was? At all. You just had a suspicion that the transaction being telepassing that what you thought was a gun to the guys in the car, had something to do with your brother Darnell? Yeah, because Bo was in the car with them, and they was looking at each other with their guns, so I was like, yes, it's about to go down. Let me find my brother. Did your brother ever pull his gun on Bo? Both of them had their guns in their hand, looking at each other. So in this instance, your brother actually did pull his gun out. Yes, because before, you said he never pulled his gun out. But this time, not to use it, he never shot anyone. You talked about the fact that Telly came to your home at 2011 Josephine, crying that his uncle had stolen his drugs. Yes. What was that uncle's name again? Frank. Frank Hankton? Yes. So, he had allowed some drugs to be stashed at Frank Hankton's apartment? Uh-huh. He came to you or to your home crying that the drugs had been stolen? He didn't come to me. He came to my brother. I couldn't help him. This was your brother, Arthur? Yes. And you said he wanted to borrow some big money from Arthur? My brother didn't have no big money. He just wanted to put some money back to what he had, I guess to pay whoever he owed it. Because he was saying he owed somebody some money. I don't. So was Arthur a drug dealer too? Yes. So in the scheme of things, you said you were a low level. Durney was a high level. Was Arthur a bigger dope dealer than Durney? At this time, he wasn't selling dope. He was selling marijuana, but he was selling a good bit of it at the time. So he was doing well for himself? Yes, he never really. Yes. Did he ever sell crack? Yes, he did. So, for whatever reason, according to his versions of events, Telly had reason to believe that Arthur would have enough money to help him replace the money that was lost because of the stolen kilos. Yes, I guess he couldn't go to nobody else around there for no money because everybody else would make it and spend it. Arthur was pretty much a saver. He saved his money. Now, when you testified in grand jury, when asked a specific question about this sequence of events, what you told the grand jurors, if you can recall, was that your brother did have that kind of money and probably would have about $100,000 around the house. Do you remember that? No, I don't. He never had that kind of money. I don't think we would have still been on Josephine if he had $100,000 laying around the house. We would have been gone. Would he have would he have kept maybe $50,000 around the house? No. He would have took care of us a little bit better. I think he would have got us out of 2011 if he had that kind of money. So what is the approximate amount you think he gave to Telly? Not much. That's what I said. It couldn't have been that much because he didn't have that much. But he did make a loan to Telly, and based on that loan, Telly was able to satisfy whoever he owed, correct? I think he might have got some more money from other people because I think what Arthur gave him wasn't enough for him to replace the money of a few keys. Arthur didn't have that kind of money. Are you aware of the fact when your brother, the evening that he was killed, I'm talking of Durney, that a gun was found in his vehicle? Yes. Are you aware of that? Uh-huh. Have you also been made aware of the fact that that gun was connected? Objection, Your Honor. If she knows. The objection is sustained. I'll let you rephrase it. You indicated that your brother never shot anyone. Would it surprise you to know that that gun was connected to another murder? It would surprise me